Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, what we have tonight is a special launch, and we'll look at what SpaceX has been up to as well. I was unable to get to this one because it was very early in the morning Eastern time for me. So I made the executive decision to not cover it live and get to it when I could. Tonight is when I could. So, we're going to be looking at the Rocket Lab's Moon God Awakens mission. Cool name, cool launch. And I'm looking forward to it because it's yet another company that's doing pretty spectacular things. This is a New Zealand-based company. They also have a launch site in Virginia in the United States. This one will be from Australia's better half, also known as New Zealand. So I'm looking forward to it. I also, SpaceX was doing a test of ship 28, I think. So they can try yet again to launch Starship. So we'll take a look at the full duration static fire of SpaceX's ship. Bringing that up right now. We have 3 different views. Good job, SpaceX. Dang. So actually, we'll get into that first, because... All right, so... Uh-oh. What did I do? Additional... full duration... Oh, here they are. Okay. So they're on the same page. But... we'll say hello to everybody and get right into it. Hey, Mecky. How you doing? Hey, Shenny. Explain this for me. I'm getting notifications from Twitter and you're going live, no notifications from YouTube. Because YouTube sucks. And I have a new theory. Because I've been looking into it, of course, because you have empirical evidence that YouTube's trying to screw a lot of people over. But I don't think it's the censorship angle. The more and more I look into it, I think that YouTube is not making the same ad revenue and trying to harm everyone across the board. I think that conservatives probably get a bad rap. And I think that makes it a little bit more additional. But there's clearly content that they want to push, and that is the stupid shorts. It's the stupid, mindless, numbing things that are going on. And I just don't think they want to pay out the ad revenue to creators anymore. And they can obviously control that. So, but I also do stream on X. I also do stream on Rumble. So if you like a platform better than ScrewTube, I'm over there as well. What's up, Neo? I'm fighting words, you little bitch. It was Ozzy's fault. We were talking about there's no way that's why I was late. We were talking about there's no way that the Kiwis, I think he called them sheep shaggers. There's no way that the sheep shaggers could build rockets, and I disagreed. I happen to like them, Rocket Labs, but no, I'm just messing around. He's a good guy. Bad Desert, hello, sir. HT, what's going on, man? The full Aussie got demonetized this morning? No way. Holy hell. So that kind of, your original channel, not the lives channel, not the new one, right? Because that one's not monetized yet. That sucks. Sorry about that, buddy. Again, I think that Alphabet, Google, YouTube, I don't think they're getting the same ad revenue. I think that period's dead. And I think that they're trying to screw over creators and only push their approved content, which is the mindless bullshit and shorts. Like I just don't think it's there anymore. And of course they're not going to say that, but I'm sorry to hear that, buddy. Different kind of wieners tonight, but oh, the full Aussie. I don't know what the hell the full Aussie is. Anyways, uh, it's a channel called the Full Aussie. I've never heard of them, so I thought you were talking about your regular Aussie channel. Anyways, hey Linda, but I think we'll see more and more of that. So we'll get right into. So this is static fire of ship 28. There's some of the content creators I was hoping to engage with. Oh, okay. Huh. All right, so we're gonna watch the static fire test. So this is basically a test of the systems and to see that the engine. I assume that it's the three sea level optimized engines. So the three Raptors on the sea level optimized. We can see a little bit better. This is a slow motion view of the same thing, but different angle. And then we have one more. Well, we'll pop over here real quick. So this is same test, different angle. So they fire the ship, make sure everything's in working order, make any changes that are necessary, and then they'll stack it, and we'll get another full stack test. Probably, my guess would be March, April of 24, but I haven't heard anything officially, so take that with a huge grain of salt. Look at all that power. God, that's so beautiful. They're getting better at it. It's going to be exciting when they when we finally get a full stack that has a incredibly successful flight. Received an overpressure notice for tomorrow. Oh. So apparently they have there's a test that goes out to the few residents that are still in the area because they have to notify them when they're doing some kind of testing. Test activities on December 21st, 2023 from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Approximately 10 minutes prior to activity, we provided the notice by sounding police siren in Boca Chica Village. There may be more than one instance during that time period where you hear a siren notification. There's a risk that a malfunction of SpaceX vehicle during these activities will create an overpressure event that can break windows. So it's basically we're going to do some tests, and you should be aware of it. And the speculation with that is there's a booster test, so that tells me that they might turn it around even faster, and we may get one very quickly if they're going to already static fire test the full stack or the booster. It'll be stacking and then ready to go. So Boca Chica smallmouth. Oh. Boca Chica Village is where Starbase Texas is. An actual man launch of Starship? Probably 4 years, if I had to guess. 3 or 4 years probably is a conservative estimate. So because they would have to do an orbital flight, they would have to do there would be significant amount of checkouts before that, and the vehicle isn't even built or configured for human spaceflight yet. So this is just checking and testing the rocketry. So the actual vehicle is going to be significantly down. I would say 4 or 5 years. So what's up, Bobby? Huh. Oh, that's cool. Are you, I take it, are you in the area? I don't want to dox you, but yeah. Yeah, absolutely. If you sign up for, or if you follow me on X, or you'll get a notification um, if you're in the Discord, we put up a notification for every single show. So, if you're having trouble getting notifications, those are two good places to get notifications when we're going live. However, every night at 8:30, or my allotted 5 minutes of tardiness, we'll call it, I'm going to be streaming. So, oh, okay, that's cool. Huh. I was trying to be like you. I shoved my hand in the ceiling fan. Figured you'd be proud. How'd that feel, buddy? Yeah, it's right there on the Gulf. I've been there a couple times. It's a fun place. Fun place. Also, just as a programming note, we're 8 days out from Falcon Heavy and the Falcon 9 launch from Vandenberg Space Force Base. So both of those are coming up on the calendar. Just wanted to let you know those are still delayed until the 28th for whatever reason. So, Rocket Labs. Rocket Labs is an interesting company. They have the Electron rocket, 172 launches, 1,700 satellites in orbit with Rocket Lab technology. They license some of their technologies, have some good guidance tech and things of that nature. So, and 150 plus cumulative years in space for Rocket Lab's satellite technology. So they also build satellites and satellite hardware. Their Electron rocket is a smaller rocket on the smaller side. And like I said, they do launch from New Zealand. So they have a launch site in Virginia. I don't know that they've ever used it. I would have to look. If they have, it's been only a handful of times. But they're not as consistent as SpaceX, but they've been doing some good work in a different field. So we're going to be watching this happen a couple days ago. This is the Rocket Lab Moon God Awakens launch. So we'll start rolling the tape, and I'll give you some comments on some of the differences between the two. So to start, that's their launch site, and it's gorgeous. And as you can see, very small on similar in the fact that they have strong back, so they lift it horizontal to vertical, but very small. That's Peter Thiel. He's the owner or CEO. But they have very small footprint, very small infrastructure, and much smaller rockets than the traditionals, the NASA's, SpaceX's, that kind of deal. So, and that is the mission patch. IQPS, Rocket Lab, the Moon God
Electron is back on the pad at Launch Complex 1 as we count down to liftoff of Rocket Lab's 42nd Electron launch, a dedicated mission for IQPS called the Moon God Awakens. Liftoff is scheduled for 5 p.m. local time or 4 a.m. UTC on this beautiful summer evening on New Zealand's east coast. My name is Muriel Baker.
And I'm Prachi Saknani. It is great to be joining you today from Rocket Lab Mission Control in Auckland, New Zealand. So far, we've had a smooth count for today's launch, with operators currently giving us the green light for an on-time launch. The weather is clear, winds are low, and it is a perfect evening to send our 42nd Electron to orbit. At T-minus 12 minutes, our launch director, Michael Pearson, will conduct a go-no-go poll, confirming all systems are ready in the final moments before launch. So we'll listen into that very soon.
Launching today on Electron is IQPS, a Japanese Earth
it
observation
could be
company
both.
using synthetic aperture radar images to map Earth. Their payload is the QPS SAR-5 satellite called Tsukuyomi, named for the Japanese god of the moon, and the reason behind today's mission name, the moon god Awakens. Today's payload will join another IQPS satellite in orbit to form part of an eventual 36 satellite constellation capable of monitoring Earth at specific fixed points every 10 minutes, even at night and through bad weather conditions.
Okay, so unfortunately, I'm going to let him play because I have information, but not as much as I would traditionally have on a SpaceX launch. So this is what we're looking at. This is the New Zealand. This is Australia. Rocket Labs is on the northeast side of New Zealand, and this is their launch complex down here, and this is their manufacturing headquarters. So gives you an idea of where in the world we're at. Antarctica's right there. Australia's right there. New Zealand's right here. So
Here's more about IQPS and their
I
mission.
know it is.
The
You'd have
future
to have
begins
Ozzy.
in Kyushu. 1 meter ground
I
resolution.
know nothing about New Zealand.
Observe cars, ships, and other moving objects. World's first under 100 kilograms small SAR satellite. 36 satellites observe nearly anywhere on Earth in an average of 10 minutes. Different from
absolutely
camera
terrifying.
satellites, radar satellites can take images even through clouds and even at dark nighttime. QPS SAR's revolutionary
Ozzy
Earth
told me.
observation data opens up an exciting new world. In the event of a disaster, QPS SAR satellites, which can observe irrespective of weather and time, are able to rapidly grasp the damage status and identify passable roads. Also, utilizing unique features of the radar, QPS SAR can detect changes of infrastructures such as roads and railways down to a few millimeters, and pre-screen locations where accidents or malfunctions may occur.
So very high
High-frequency observation enables visualization and
resolution
stationary
imaging
observation
set.
of moving objects, such as cars, ships, and planes. In addition, analyzing data, together with economic, weather, and other big data, allows us to forecast national and urban economies, along with future trends. QPS SAR images can be used to quickly create and frequently update 3D maps. This map shows accurate traffic
didn't
information
the second time, but I didn't
based
get
on
your first
changing
message,
conditions,
Oz.
which is critical for realizing autonomous driving. Our ultimate goal is real-time map. A world in which satellite images are available for daily personal use, just like social media.
That's terrifying as well. This whole thing is very terrifying.
QPS SAR creates a new world by supporting people and contributing to the development of Earth and humanity.
You can spy on your neighbors in real time.
Bring space closer. QPS SAR.
We are looking forward to adding another IQPS satellite to space on today's mission, and thankful to the team for their patience in getting to the launch pad.
Today's mission is our first launch after a 3-month hiatus following our September 19th anomaly. In the time since, our anomaly investigation has determined that the most probable cause of the rocket failing was a highly complex set of conditions that allowed an unexpected electrical arc to occur within the second stage's power supply system. Our team's top priority has been to find a way to mitigate this concern. They
So yes,
investigated not only the root cause of the anomaly,
they had a
but
failure.
any
Their
other
last one out
vulnerabilities
a
across
few
Electron.
months ago.
As a
So,
result, there are a couple of key corrective measures and changes that have been applied to today's and all future Electrons to make our launch vehicle that much more reliable.
That's right. We have improved our pre-flight vacuum testing regime with new instruments implemented in the pre-flight tests, both at the component level and the stage level, that can sense partial energy discharge right down to the picocoulomb. We've also sealed up the battery frame on the second stage that contains all of the high voltage connections and equipment and pressurized it down to about 0.5 psi for launch. That's why our view from the camera above the battery frame will look a little bit different if you've followed along with enough of our missions to spot the difference. It's important to remember, though, that
okay, so I'm gonna stop right here. So SpaceX uses a generator. So they use a closed cycle engine design that uses a generator. So they pre-burn the fuel, and it turns a turbine, which generates electricity for the vehicle. Rocket Labs has a very unique system where they have giant battery banks, and they have a few. I believe there's 4 on their rocket at this point. Partially why they call it the Electron. Blah blah blah. But the whole idea is that the batteries are what provide it power. Well, the batteries are really heavy. And in order for it to be a successful launch and to get the maximum amount of payload, they lose a lot of efficiency. So to do that, they drop, or they call it hot swap, batteries. So they switch batteries mid-flight and drop the depleted batteries back to Earth because they're very heavy and it makes their flight rather inefficient. So where SpaceX pre-burns the fuel to turn a turbine to generate electricity, which is the standard model of rocketry, Rocket Labs, with their new design, has a battery system that they then, again, call hot swapping. So while the battery is drawing electricity, they swap out the battery and drop the depleted batteries into the ocean. So that's one of the major differences. I believe they're lithium, but I should have looked, but I don't want to tell you something that's not true. Lithium polymer batteries. Lithium
overall, we
polymer.
have had
God
36.
damn it. Lithium polymer batteries. So yeah, they drop lithium batteries into the ocean after they're depleted. So to my knowledge, they don't recover them. I'm sure seawater and burning batteries are great, but apparently there's not a huge environmental concern, or we would have probably heard about it. But that's how they do things a little bit different. Instead of generating their own electricity, they take it with them. And these are obviously electric intensive missions. That's why you see a lot of like the Dragon or the Soyuz or even Orion. As soon as they get into orbit, they deploy solar panels. 1, because they need the power immediately, and 2, once they drop those previous stages that are capable of making power, then they have to do something different to generate their power. So that's why you see generally the first thing to come out will be solar panels, so they can start generating electrical charge. And it's no different with Rocket Labs. They just supply it with their battery up until that point, whereas the actual rocket engine is designed to produce that power in the closed cycle. So by pre-burning the fuel. Mm-hmm. Yes. They're pretty, I mean, I don't know the efficacy of how they recover them or if they're dangerous, I would assume that they weren't throwing things into the ocean that were then going to burn for 6 months. But to be truthful, I have no idea. I know that their system has been rather successful. They've had a couple failures, but who hasn't? It's rockets. They fail. So, but I couldn't tell you specifically how they dispose of them or if they are sealed. I would assume they're sealed. Being the polymer battery, they're probably encased, and that's probably what they use as the sealing. So, so that it doesn't pollute or catch fire. But you would think that eventually even the polymer would degrade and you would have a problem with salt water and batteries. It just, I mean, if we're just thinking out loud, it seems like that would be a legitimate concern. So I don't know. I've never heard a huge aversion to them. So, but
7 successful orbital missions to place 171 satellites in orbit. And the past 2 years had been a flawless record of 20 successful missions, one after the other. So we can't wait for today's return to service to add to that satellite tally once again.
Absolutely. But right now, we are only 12 minutes away from liftoff, and you know what that means. Up next, we have our Go No Go poll, where our operators in mission control give a status report on their systems to confirm whether or not we will proceed with the count. Let's listen into mission control and check in on how we're tracking for launch.
Another difference, and you'll see that coming up right here. They're much more transparent with things like go no go polls and much more open to the public. So a lot of the things that they do are recorded and they're even more transparent than a SpaceX. Definitely more transparent than NASA or Roscosmos in Russia. They kind of give you everything all the way through. So they're fun launches to watch because they're incredibly transparent with it. So Teak, please. Yeah. Why is the great battery being destroyed now? Wait, someone's chopping them. Yeah, exactly. So
Watch.
I don't think it's truly ever been brought up. Like, I've never heard a huge environmental concern with it or a huge aversion to it. And it could be because they're in a different country. I mean, I don't know how New Zealand thinks of the environment, but maybe there's no liberals in New Zealand. I don't know. Sounds like the DiCaprio company, all about the environment, sharing people causing more damage than normal companies, to be honest. Yeah. So the first stages on rockets like NASA's Artemis rocket or a lot of the tanks for previous shuttle missions or things of that nature, they dump them in the ocean. They dump the entire tank with all the hardware.
Stations LDM mission. Just a reminder that we've entered a hold at T-minus 12 minutes.
Okay, so we have a
hold.
hold.
On bringing a couple final values within bounds, and we will be resuming the count shortly.
And this is not uncommon for them. They tend to hold, tend to have wide open windows. They're not nearly as rigid as some of the other providers. Everything's kind of wink and a nod. We'll do it when we're damn well ready. But again, it's fun to see the process, and it's fun to see that kind of thing taking place. Yeah. So we'll see how long this hold takes. I do know that it went, or I wouldn't have covered it. But New Zealand is pretty far left and big on the environment. Huh. So the new the newer first stages, because they're big aluminum tubes. So the new first stages allegedly, there's a portion of
From
the flight
Mission Control, you
termination
might have
system.
heard there that they called out for a hold in the launch countdown. Now, our launch operators can call a hold at any point in the countdown if they notice anything unusual about the rocket before liftoff. What that means is that we've paused the clock at T-minus 12 minutes to give Mission Control time to take a look at the data and see what has raised that red flag.
Stay with us on the broadcast, though, as we'll keep up the comms channel to Mission Control up, so with that, we can listen out for some updates.
Okay, so there's a portion of the flight termination system that actually blows the bottom out of the first stage, so that they can use it for reefs, rebuilding the reefs. So that's the line that they're trying to sell people. I don't know. I'm not an oceanologist. It seems kind of shady to me. Just recover your damn rocket and reuse it. I mean, we know it's possible now. We see SpaceX do it all the time. But it seems like a cop-out from NASA. But apparently, they're dropping them in, blowing the bottoms, so that sea life can use them as reefs. Believe it if you want, or question it. I sure do. So there seems to be a trade-off with dropping things in the ocean. It doesn't seem to be a huge hindrance on any of the space programs. So whether it's good or a bad thing, I mean, you be the judge. So we're seeing a small vent. Could be a pressurization issue, could be something. So while they're going through that, we'll go through some of the specifications on the rocket lab. So the rocket height is 18 meters, 59 feet. The diameter is 1.2 meters or 3 feet, 11 inches. It weighs about 28,000 pounds or about 12.5 tons. It has 3-ish stages. So a first stage, and then they have a second stage and then a kick stage. The kick stage is for attaining a good orbit. Again, they just do things a little bit differently. So it can take about 300 kilos to low Earth orbit. So that means about 660 pounds. When it started, it was 225 kilos or about 496 pounds. So
all stations LD on mission. This time we're going to be resuming the count imminently. Please be prepared for the go, no go poll. We'll get straight into that as the count resumes, but please raise any issues you foresee immediately.
all right. So apparently they've resolved the issue, at least for now. They've had 41 launches, 37 successful out of that 41. They do recover the first stage. They recover it with a parachute. Again, an odd way when you're seeing other space flights, but at least they do recover the first stage of their rocket for reuse. It's not rapid reuse like SpaceX, but it is intended to be refurbed and reused. They use a carbon fiber tube.
And all stations, the count has been resumed. We'll be proceeding straight into the go, no go sequence. Stage.
Fantastic.
Stages go.
Avionics.
Avionics
Listen
is
to
go.
the poll and then I'll pick it up.
GNC.
GNC is go.
Vcon.
Beacon is go.
T1.
T1 is go.
GC.
GC is go.
PLS.
PLS is go.
RSO.
RSO is go.
MET.
MET is go.
RF.
RF is go.
MM.
is go.
LD Shadow.
LD Shadows go.
LD Sup.
LD sub is go.
Okay, all stations, the go, no go sequence is complete. We are T minus 11 minutes and 8 seconds and counting. We are go for terminal count at T minus 10 minutes. And from this time, the 3-word hold procedure is in effect.
So we have a go for launch. So that's a good sign.
That was Mission Control reporting Electron systems and the IQPS payload on board are confirmed healthy and good to go for an on-time launch. The range is ready to support. The weather continues to look good for liftoff at 5:05 local time or 4:05 a.m. UTC.
So we're still trending towards a good launch. So we're just holding out and waiting. So the engines on this bad boy, 224.3 kilonewtons of thrust at sea level, 234 kilonewtons of thrust in a vacuum, the vacuum of space, and like many other of the rockets of this current time, they use RP1, so rocket propellant run or rocket grade kerosene, and liquid oxygen. So those were the first stage stats. The second stage is 2.4 meters or 7
Today's
feet.
mission is heading to a 575 kilometer circular Earth orbit at a 42-degree inclination to add IQPS's next SAR satellite to its growing smallsat constellation. With its constellation, IQPS is aiming for frequent Earth observation day and night that can contribute to social issues such as disaster prevention, defense, and environmental research. Here's more from the IQPS team.
Sounds very whatever.
Our company IQPS is developing small SAR satellites, QPSR in Fukuoka, which is located in Kyushu, Japan, and currently operating 3 satellites. The Kyushu, this region has a good environment with the rocket launch facilities.
There's nothing funny about this guy at all, so I'm just gonna let him talk.
And educational opportunities in space engineering. Our founder established IQPS in Kyushu with a mission to develop the space industry in this region, and we have carried on that mission by launching QPSR project in Kyushu and advancing the construction of a satellite constellation. Looking beyond that, our vision is to make Japan the birthplace of space innovation from Kyushu and to free people from anxiety and support their daily lives through satellite. The launch by Electron into our dedicated orbit is a strong tailwind towards the realization of our vision. So we are very excited with local government and partner companies in Fukuoka who has been cooperating with us.
Currently, QPSR provides world-class high resolution and high image quality, enabling
This is definitely dubbed over.
At 46 centimeter resolution. Our future plan is to launch a total of 36 satellites, ultimately aiming to provide near real-time observations at around 10-minute intervals. By utilizing this high-frequency, high-resolution data, we envision contributing to the disaster management, infrastructure monitoring, and creating safe, secure communities in everyday life. Furthermore, after these global-scale data are accumulated and combined and analyzed with other valuable data, we think we will be able to foresee the future one step ahead. And by being able to see a step-ahead future, we believe we can liberate people from uncertainty and make people's life more efficient and productive, such as avoiding traffic jam, escaping from disaster, and estimating the economy. Still, there's a long way to go to achieve this, but we hope one day our data will become the backbone to foster a new, sustainable, and valuable environment for the world. It was this early April when we asked Rocket Lab if there's an available launch spot for our satellite. On behalf of IQPS, I would like to appreciate to all the Rocket Lab members for the hard work in making our satellite be launched in this revolutionary short period. Thank you very much. ありがとうございます。
So you heard it from the guy himself. So
We are thrilled to be launching RQPS on Electron's 42nd mission today. Now, this mission is our 10th launch for the year so far, making 2023 our busiest launch year to date. Now, as we
10,
wait for liftoff,
that's it.
let's take a closer look at the numbers behind Electron launches.
all right, I'm going to
Welcome
pause
to
it.
Electron by
Or
the
pause
numbers.
there we go. Because I want to really get this out. So again, the first stage, 9 Rutherford engines. Rutherford is the name they've given to their engines. The second stage is 2.4 meters or 7 feet 10 inches. It is 1.2 meters in diameter, or also 3 foot 11 inches. It is powered by 1 Rutherford engine, and that is a vacuum optimized Rutherford engine that has 25.8 kilonewtons of thrust in a vacuum. Also RP1 and LOX for that specific engine. And then we have the Curie engine, or the Curie, that is on the kick stage. The kick stage is it's technically optional, but everyone that I've seen them launch has the kick stage, and that's kind of their orbital fix. It's what they use to circularize their orbit, and that has 1 Curie engine on it. And that has a thrust of 0.12 kilonewtons of thrust. So very small on the thrust scale. It is not for major changes. It is just for those minor changes once it's orbital. And it has viscous liquid monopropellant. So APAI polymethyl dexalate. So that's a fuel that traditionally has been used in hot gas thrusters or different types of thrusters. The Draco uses a similar fuel. So the Super Dracos on the SpaceX Dragon capsule, their crewed capsule, that uses monopropellants or on the Super Draco thrusters. So it's again a common use case in spaceflight. Kind of weird to use it on a thrust engine, but again, they kind of use it as a hot gas thruster. It's just a different way of doing things. Probably not the most optimal way, but it works.
We can expect confirmation that the launch vehicle's first and second stages are pressurized for launch, followed by the final countdown to liftoff at T-minus 10 seconds. Let's hand over now to Mission Control.
So now we're going to go over to Mission Control. And we're T-minus 3 minutes, I believe that says. I can't see their numbering is pretty piss poor if you ask me, but on their countdown. I think it says T-minus 3 minutes and 1 second.
Stations LD on mission. From
It
now
is.
on, there should be no red flags in your critical LCCs. Beacon LD mission.
LD Beacon.
Lock auto sequence and confirm.
Confirmed, locked.
Go
And
Rocket
please
Labs,
confirm
go
all expected
Electron.
primary flight computer ASGOs are green.
Confirmed, all ASGOs are green.
And all stations, we are go for auto sequence start at T-minus 2 minutes. LD is go for launch.
LD would be your launch director. So the launch director is verifying go for launch. So that puts them on path for a launch at T-minus 2 minutes and 22 seconds. WEF called to say stop saying the inside thoughts out loud. I'm sorry.
Avionics batteries have switched to internal power. Ground power is disabled. Vehicle is fully on internal power.
So that's
AFTS is green and enabled for flight.
that's again those batteries. So there's it's now on internal power, which in the SpaceX or every other rocket that's ever been produced, that is a power that's generated by the engines and pre-burning with turbo pumps. With Electron, they use giant lithium polymer
System is in recirculation.
polymer batteries. So LOX load is complete. So it's full of its liquid oxygen. Always worried the rocket will tip over. Yeah.
Anti-geysering is disabled.
I mean, it could after the strongback's retracted, but they're pretty careful with ground speed winds and things of that nature because it affects flight. So
Stage 1 and Stage 2 tanks are pressed.
So pressurization on both stage 1 and stage 2. So that's
Engine purge enabled.
That's similar to the SpaceX when we see flight tank pressurization. And now we're doing engine cool down, which is another parallel to the SpaceX. Similarity, I guess. T-minus 20?
T-minus 20 seconds and counting. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Liftoff.
It jumps right off that pad because it is very small. Beautiful shot.
Stage 1
Electron
propulsion.
has lifted off from Launch Complex 1 and we are 34 seconds into our flight. With Electron now clear of the pad, soon we will approach max Q, or maximum aerodynamic pressure, the moment of the most amount of stress against the rocket. So let's listen in for the call from Mission Control that Electron has passed max Q.
So just like with the Falcon,
Supersonic, approaching max Q.
supersonic and max Q,
High
just
voltage
like
discharge. Nominal.
SpaceX.
Clear at max Q.
Clear at max Q, so maximum
And there you have it.
aerodynamic
Electron
pressure.
has cleared max Q. A beautiful and nominal mission so far. Now up 15 kilometers in altitude as the rocket reaches speeds of more than 2,100 kilometers.
Next up are 3 mission milestones that happen in quick succession. First up, we have MECO, or main engine cutoff. This has when all 9 Rutherford engines on the first stage throttle down and then shut off completely. Very quickly after that, we have the separation of the first and second stages, and you'll see that main booster tank fall away from Electron's second stage. We then have the ignition of the single Rutherford engine on Electron's second stage, as the mission continues to orbit. Those calls should be coming up from our operators in Mission Control very shortly.
So just like with the other, as you get less atmosphere, there's less pressure on those exhaust gases, and you see more fanning
Stage 1
and
propulsion holding nominal. Stand by for MECO in roughly 30 seconds.
get expansion of those gases coming out of the engine. So, and there's also 9 engines.
15 seconds to MECO.
So we get a very similar pattern.
Attack mode.
MECO confirmed.
Stage separation successful.
Stage 2 ignition confirmed.
As you can probably tell from that applause, we have had a successful MECO, stage separation, and second stage engine start for Electron. Up next will be the fairing jettison, where the 2 halves of Electron's protective fairing split and fall away from the vehicle to expose IQPS's satellite to space in preparation for payload deployment. And we might see those 2 halves on screen too as we clear that next milestone.
Well, she said it. I don't have to. So now we just have that one vacuum optimized Rutherford engine. And it will continue with that one. There's payload
Fairing jettison
fairing
succeeded.
separation.
That was them there on your screen. Electron's fairing halves have fallen away as planned. At 3 minutes
Stage two
and
propulsion
42
still holding
seconds
nominal.
into the mission, the single Rutherford engine on Electron's second stage continues to burn bright as we make our way to orbit.
High voltage battery
We have a
discharge
new
nominal.
view of the engine's nozzle that includes a nitrogen bottle that you can see on the top left of your screen, which has been introduced as part of an update to the second stage system. Now, this is providing pressurized gas to the enclosure covering the second stage electrical system, helping to minimize the chances of electrical arcs.
Stage 2 propulsion nominal.
Soon we'll reach a mission milestone unique to Electron, the battery hot swap.
Sounds like she's
Electron's fuel
talking,
pumps
but
are battery powered, and once we deplete the first set of
talking
batteries,
with her mouth
they're no
closed.
use to us anymore. And so we swap them out with a fresh set, ejecting the depleted ones so that they don't hitch a ride to orbit.
100%. You
That
know it's going to
milestone
be
should
woke and
coming up
terrible.
at around 6 minutes and 43 seconds into the mission, and so we have a while to wait for that milestone just yet.
So, yet again, we get a lot of information from
We are
Rocket
now 4
Labs.
minutes
So we
and
have
42
stage
seconds into
2
flight and
heat,
well on our way to
telemetry,
orbit.
speed.
So far, we have successfully lifted off, cleared the pad and passed through max Q, as well as had main engine cutoff and stage separation. Now, attached to Electron's second stage is the kick stage, where you can see IQPS's satellite right there, which is poised for deployment to a 575-kilometer orbit. If you take a look at the top graph on the right there, you can see that we have about 61% of propellant remaining, which will take us through to about T plus 9.5 minutes, where we will have engine shutdown and kick stage separation.
240 seconds remaining. Guidance is nominal.
The Stage 2 Rutherford engine continues to perform nominally, and Electron is climbing steadily to its target apogee of 575 kilometers above Earth. And what a beautiful view we have so far. The IQPS payload atop the kick stage is less than an hour away from its home in orbit.
$575. That's a pretty high.
Throttling down.
Huh. I didn't realize they were going that high with it.
As we approach battery hot swap in the next 30 seconds or so, keep your eyes peeled because sometimes you can catch a glimpse of these battery packs falling away. Reminder that it will look a little different than usual due to the remedial work done on the Stage 2 power pack. Let's listen in for the call out for mission control.
Should be able to see him.
Hot swap successful.
Yep, you can see it kind of floating away there.
That
to
was
the
the call.
left-hand
That
side.
battery hot swap is confirmed and the mission is proceeding as planned. In about 3 minutes,
Battery
Electron's
confirmed.
second stage will experience SECO, or second engine
So that's
cutoff.
always their
Now, much
that's
like
always their
main
big
engine
time
cutoff, the Stage 2 Rutherford
challenge.
will throttle down
So-
before the kick stage separates as it continues on to payload deployment.
good to see that they made it through their challenging issue, because that usually is where their failures are. So with that hot swap.
HVB battery discharge holding nominal.
All right, a quick check in on the dials at T plus 7 minutes and 28 seconds. Electron is traveling at a speed of over 17,000 kilometers per hour and approaching an altitude of about 242 kilometers, which with some quick maths brings us another 300 or so kilometers to go in this mission. Now, after we reach that target, we will have a coast phase of about 45 minutes as the kick stage scoots around the other side of Earth and back into position, ready for payload deployment.
Stage 2 propulsion still holding nominal.
The team and mission control are closely monitoring the Stage 2 burn as we get closer and closer to SECO, or second engine cutoff. Just a minute to go until that milestone with Electron and the IQPS payload remaining healthy. Reminder that this version of Rutherford is designed for the vacuum of space. So the glowing nozzle you see on your screen there is much larger than the sea level variant of the engine used on Stage 1. This large nozzle extracts more energy from the exhaust
Not
as it
surprising.
expands,
I've lost a
increasing the
ton of
performance of
subs
the
in the
engine.
last couple days. A ton. Even though I've gained a bunch, I've lost a ton. So they're doing their thing again. What's up, Jacob
Into
Castro over on Rumble?
tech mode.
And for all you just joining us, this mission was a couple days ago.
25 seconds remaining.
But it was very early in the morning American time.
As we mentioned before, one of the final milestones coming up for this mission is SECO. Now, we will see the second stage engine throttle down ahead of shutoff. Then the kick stage, which the satellite is attached to, will separate and begin its coast phase. So let's listen in to mission control for the calls.
I kind of feel like she's going to yell at me. That's what it sounds like to me.
SECO confirmed.
Manual transfer orbit achieved. And stage 3 separation confirmed.
So all the hard work's done. Now that kick stage will take it the rest of the way.
Engine on Electron's second stage has successfully shut down, and stage 2 and the kick stage have cleanly separated. The kick stage will now enter what we call a coast phase. For the next 45 minutes or so, the kick stage will be in an elliptical orbit around Earth before the Curie engine ignites, raising the kick stage's perigee to put us in a circular orbit. From here, we will deploy IQPS's Tsukuyomi satellite to its destination in orbit.
So while we wait for that deployment, we'll take a break on the webcast now and be back with you at around T plus 50 minutes. See you back here soon.
Okay, so we're gonna. So this is all they do. They show you the orbital track. So we're gonna skip ahead with them. Look, it's flying over South America. It's flying over Dazimite's house. Could be.
Hello and welcome back to the webcast of Rocket Lab's 42nd Electron launch, a dedicated mission for IQPS. In case you missed it, today's mission has progressed nominally so far with a perfect liftoff from Launch Complex 1 at 5:05 p.m. local time in New Zealand, followed by a clean first and second stage burn all the way to orbit.
While we were on our break, our small but mighty Curie engine on the kick stage ignited to circularize our orbit. There's a few more seconds left in this burn, then the engine will shut down and the moon god will awaken. Let's hand it back over to mission control as we listen in for those final calls.
Curie engine cutoff confirmed.
All right.
That's confirmation from mission control. The Curie engine has shut down. We are about 40 seconds away from payload deployment of the Tsukuyomi satellite, ready to join the other QPS SAR-5 satellite already in orbit. Let's kick it back to mission control for confirmation of payload deployment.
So this is obviously a
Payload deployment confirmed.
not a video. Animation.
You heard it there from mission control and from the applause from our team. Payload deployment is confirmed. The moon god has awoken and Tsukuyomi is now in orbit, ready to perform its mission to provide Earth observation imagery in rain, hail, or shine. A massive thank you to the team at IQPS for entrusting us with your mission. And congratulations to the Rocket Lab team on our 42nd Electron launch.
That brings us to the end of today's broadcast, but keep an eye out on our social media channels for more footage and photos from today's beautiful launch. Don't forget that we are always recruiting. If anything you...
All right. So that was a Rocket Lab's Moon God Awakens mission. Like I said, I think it's cool to cover all the different spaceflight that's going on across the world. There's some exciting things going on, and it's fun to watch them all. And I thank you guys for choosing to do it with me. This was incredibly successful, and like I said, they just had a recent failure that grounded them for some time. So it's always good to see them getting back on the horse and getting back to space, because we need more people with innovative ideas that do things just a little bit differently in order to reach the goals that we're all looking forward to in spaceflight. So, as always, thanks for watching. Like I said, the next SpaceX flight will be December 28th. We should have a twofer. We should have a Vandenberg West Coast launch, and we should finally get USSF 52 from Kennedy Space Center, which is the Falcon Heavy at night. So I'm looking forward to both of them. Nothing else coming up in the interim, but if there's anything that comes up, I will certainly be covering it, and I'll let you guys know in tomorrow's media roundup. So thank you all for stopping by, and I will catch you guys all very soon. Have a good night, everybody.